Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship stations, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In addition today, as always, we're on Birmingham Area Municipal Access, and now we're on both City Cable 15 in Southfield and Waterford Community Television as well. Join us online, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link at the top of our homepage on your web browser or on the left panel of your web browser if you're on our website on your mobile phone. It's also in a small player on our homepage on our website, so if you'd like to explore everything else on our website as well while you watch the Megacast live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, there's the location for you to do so. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/CivicCenterTV15 and facebook.com/LakesFM. While you're there watching the Megacast, go ahead and give both those pages a like and maybe post what you like about each and every show or ask some questions for us to throw out there for other guests in the future or possible topics or issues that you'd like to hear right here on the Megacast each and every day. We're also on My Michigan TV on the web and on your smart TV and your smartphone as well. Find more information at mymytv.com. That is MYMITV.com to learn more about My Michigan TV, Michigan's free streaming network where you can subscribe to My on their website. You can watch it live on their website as well, including programming such as ours from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, and Steve Leto live at 12 noon until 1 o'clock, as well as other programming that will be oncoming soon, as well as imported from all across the state of Michigan. Find My Michigan TV also on smart TV apps such as Samsung TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and more, as well as on the Apple iOS store and the Android App Store as well. Find more information, again, at mymytv.com, MYMITV.com. And learn more about all of our partnering stations at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where we have helpful information about all of these partnering stations, tell you a little bit about what our show is and where the origins of the show came from, and direct you to links to other community television, radio, and other media outlets so that you have options throughout the day. No matter what community you're in here in southeastern Michigan, we're able to point you in the right direction for programming that impacts your hometown and your community. So if you're in the Birmingham-Bloomfield area and you want to watch either Birmingham Area Municipal Access or Bloomfield Community Television, BCTV, we have a link to Birmingham Area Municipal Access's website, which is a service of the Birmingham Area Cable Board. And we also have links to 88.1 WBFH, the BIF, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District, which will begin their regular afternoon programming where students host 2-hour live shows Monday through Friday, including other special broadcasts of events in the Bloomfield Hills School District and in the Birmingham Bloomfield community. And on Friday nights, Bloomfield Hills Black Hawks football, all of their home games also broadcast on the BIF. And then in addition to all that information about our partnering stations on TV, or on radio, on the web, we also have links to all of our interviews and all of our full episodes, because we know it's tough for some people to join us live every single day from 10 a.m. until 12 noon and watch the entire show, take time out of their day. You're busy, you're working from home, you're taking your kids to school, you're doing your own work, and you can't be with us through the entire 2 hours or for any of it. And sometimes you just want to watch the show on your own time. We give you that opportunity on demand at our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you can watch full episodes, or if there are only certain topics of interests that you have that we are discussing with a number of guests from throughout the state of Michigan each and every day, you can watch specific interviews by clicking on the Watch Full Interviews link on civiccentertv.com/megacast as well. And we've had a lot of very interesting interviews recently. We'll talk a little bit about an update on the situation with power outages after Tuesday night's storms. We had a really interesting interview recently with Southfield Mayor Ken Siver about how Southfield is addressing issues with DTE, with the utility itself. We spoke recently with Farhat Kazi, a West Bloomfield philanthropist who is organizing Children of Abraham Day, and that's a really interesting interview about bringing some of the three most common religions in our local area, that being Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, together to recognize their similarities as opposed to the differences that we're often prompted to recognize instead. And we also had a really interesting conversation yesterday with Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald. My apologies, I almost called her by the name of her predecessor. Karen McDonald yesterday spoke about her first 9 months in office as the Oakland County Prosecutor, some of her new approaches to addressing crime and crime prevention in Oakland County. Really interesting interview, and we were pleased to be joined by her yesterday in the 11 o'clock hour of our show. Find that online, civiccentertv.com/megacast, and while you're there, head on over afterward to civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where we have more helpful links that take you to resources from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the state of Michigan, Oakland County, and many of our local municipalities here in Oakland County with specific information about COVID-19 as it pertains to your hometown, to your home state, and on a broad scale to the entire country, because we continue to get new information about COVID-19. This is a novel coronavirus that has reached pandemic level and been at pandemic level for almost 2 years now at this point. And as we continue to learn more about this novel coronavirus, about prevention tactics, about how it may affect people down the line after we're in a situation where we're post-pandemic, how long it will take us to get to a situation where we're post-pandemic. That information is going to continuously be updated. And on top of that, you can find reliable, factual information about COVID-19 vaccines, about mask mandates, and precautionary tactics that you can employ at your home, out in the public, at your workplace, in school environments, and so on, directly from resources that have researched this, that understand these topics, that have spent their entire lives and their careers learning these certain areas of information and have an actual medical knowledge on this. Again, you don't need to be wading through all of the disinformation and misinformation of the internet. There are so many bad resources out there. We point you directly to 3 incredibly reliable frontline resources for all your COVID-19 information and information directly from your hometowns, because things are different in West Bloomfield Township than they are in Troy, or they are in Auburn Hills, or they are in Rochester. Things are different even from Rochester to Rochester Hills. So each community is going to have different COVID-19 protocols in place, going to have different situations in place, and you want to be able to learn about your hometown, go right to our website. We make it easy for you. You don't need to go researching all throughout these different websites that sometimes are clunky and complicated. We take you directly to those links, and they're all at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, in addition to headlines each and every day that are our top stories making news about COVID-19 and more in our local community and throughout the state of Michigan. Our first article today comes from Bridge, Michigan magazine, as Michigan masked or vaccinated students are more likely to avoid COVID quarantine after changes in protocols coming down from the governor's office and the Health and Human Services Department. Just days into the new school year, the Whitmer administration has stepped up pressure to mask and vaccinate students in the classroom, issuing new guidance on Wednesday that excuses children exposed to COVID-19 from quarantine if they were following safety protocols at the time. The updated recommendations allow more students to remain in school even if they have been exposed, as long as both students, the infected and the one that was exposed, wore masks, or if both students were vaccinated. That marks a significant change from last year's state orders, which called for quarantining all staff and students found to be in close contact with someone infected with COVID-19. The new guidance could be a quote-unquote game changer for schools who need to focus on educating, said Eric Pessel, health officer for Calhoun County's health department. Wednesday's guidance by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, or MDHHS, coupled with local mask mandates that require the majority of Michigan students statewide to wear facial coverings, will likely lessen the number of students who must miss school this year because of quarantine orders, Pessel and school leaders told Bridge, Michigan magazine. Last year, it was common for 10 to 25 students to be ordered to stay home from school for 10 days or for every one student who tested positive, under a policy of quarantining all students and staff exposed for a prolonged period of time to someone who tested positive with COVID-19. Generally, staff and students last year were considered exposed if they were within 6 feet of the infected person for at least 15 minutes. The new recommendations carve broad exemptions for students who take basic COVID health precautions. The goal of the new guidelines is to offer flexibility to local districts, according to Lynn Sutphin, the spokesperson for MDHHS. In a quote to Bridge, Michigan magazine, Sutphin said, quote, the local health department may modify quarantine policies based on different factors, including how close contact is, the duration and intensity of the contact, if the students were wearing masks, and what is happening in the local community. She continued on, schools and local health departments should work together to decide what quarantine policies work best for their community, and close quote. Peter Spatafore, spokesperson for the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators, said the guidelines will likely incentivize school districts to encourage or mandate mask wearing if they haven't already. In a quote, he said, I'm not sure it's going to change policies in every district, but it does spell out a clearer path for students returning to the classroom faster when there isn't a positive test. One district where the recommendation could be extremely helpful is Harper Creek Community Schools, the one of Calhoun's largest school districts in the county not required to wear masks, where 22 confirmed cases among staff and students have led to 192 quarantines since the beginning of school on August 23rd, said Eric Pessel from the Calhoun County Health Department. Should Harper Creek and other districts adopt the state's guidelines, some of the students would be allowed to, quote, test out of quarantine, Pessel said. The guidance comes as K-12 students return to public classrooms amid concern about the continuing pandemic and heated public debate over school mask mandates. The new, more flexible quarantine recommendations could be a boon for roughly 60% of Michigan students who are required to wear facial coverings in classrooms under mandates either from school districts themselves or from their local health departments, including right here in Oakland County in an order that was issued in late August. Under the new guidelines, students exposed to COVID-19 could nevertheless remain in school if they are fully vaccinated, even if they didn't wear a mask, and even if they were in close contact with the COVID-positive student. However, they should test for COVID 3 to 5 days after their last exposure, wear a mask, and monitor symptoms for 14 days. They would also be exempt to the new policies, to quarantine if they wore masks, even if they were unvaccinated, as long as the students remained at least 3 to 6 feet apart. If the infected person was also wearing a mask, however, the exposed student must continue to wear a mask and should monitor their symptoms for 14 days following the exposure. And lastly, if they wore masks, even if they were unvaccinated and the students were less than 3 feet apart, however, the exposed student must continue wearing a mask, test daily for 7 days, and monitor symptoms for 14. Alternatively, the exposed student can stay out of school for 7 days and return with a negative test result, or stay home for 10 days without a test altogether. While students can obtain free antigen tests and supplies through the My Safe Schools testing program and the My Safer Schools program, who will be responsible for administering COVID tests to students who want to test out of quarantine and return to school. The language the state's guidance says is specific to students and doesn't spell out quarantine policies for teachers and staff. And one person from the Buckley School District noted another impediment to implementing such a policy. She said she can ask students if they have been vaccinated, but can't demand that information. Contact tracing and quarantining are crucial to keeping COVID under control because infected and contagious individuals can be asymptomatic, but allowing some students to return with safeguards also makes sense. Again, that's from Eric Pessel, the health officer from Calhoun County's Health Department. So this is in a continued effort for Governor Whitmer to find some balance in her administration and the health department at the state level, to find some balance in returning kids to school safely, but also having policies in place that prevent unnecessary spread of COVID-19. If students are vaccinated, they're less likely to have severe symptoms of COVID-19 or even show any symptoms altogether. So if multiple vaccinated students are exposed to COVID-19 or expose each other to COVID-19, they can take extra protocols without it being an immediate danger to themselves or other vaccinated students around them. And then there's also policies in place for those that are unvaccinated so that they aren't unfairly missing school in an imbalance with other kids that may be vaccinated but are still required to take precautions in order to do so that they can stay in the classroom. So it further incentivizes getting the information that you need and that parents need for their kids to decide whether or not to vaccinate them, and encourages them, of course, in this case, to vaccinate their kids against COVID-19 if they are eligible. Those, of course, 12 years of age and older are vaccine eligible with the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, but it also provides local health departments and school districts some agency themselves to put further policies in place to determine what is the best quarantining system for those school districts. More information on that, an extended version of the article, the full version of the article from Bridge, Michigan Magazine. We have a link to that right at the top of our headlines area on civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Also on the vaccine front, not quite on the positive side or compromising side, this article from the Oakland Press says Henry Ford employees are seeking an injunction over COVID-19 vaccine mandates by the health system. 51 employees of the Henry Ford Health System are seeking a preliminary injunction with the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan to prevent termination due to their COVID-19 vaccination status. Henry Ford issued a mandate for its employees on June 29th, requiring them to be fully vaccinated by September 10th or lose their jobs, potentially. This decision applied to all team members, medical staff, students, volunteers, and contractors that do business with Henry Ford facilities, including employees who work remotely or those who have had COVID-19. That's where you kind of lose me there, as much as I tend to side with the argument that employers have every right to decide what are the safety precautions for their business, and employees either need to comply with that or find a new job. In this case, if you're working remotely and you haven't been around other people in your workspace, I think at least while you're working remotely, the vaccine requirement probably shouldn't be there, but it becomes necessary if you are going to be in contact with other employees from the health system, with clients from the health system, contractors, or anybody else associated with your professional work. But that's a debate for different people to have rather than us here. Continuing on in this article from the Oakland Press, Henry Ford reported on the 1st of this month that 92% of its 33,000 employees or team members had received at least the first dose of one of the COVID-19 vaccines. In response to the litigation, Henry Ford Health System sent a statement on Wednesday to the media saying, quote, "We remain confident that vaccination is the most powerful tool that we have against COVID-19 and the pandemic. Beyond that, we cannot comment on pending litigation." The lawsuit states, quote, "Defendants, through this imposed mandate, arbitrarily show disregard for the personal autonomy of their employees in violation of the United States of America and other laws." End closed quote. Katie Kern of Waterford, a registered nurse and unit educator at Henry Ford West Bloomfield, is the first plaintiff listed. The lawsuit says, quote, "Mrs. Kern has been repeatedly harassed by Henry Ford Health System management for participating in local government exchanges. To date, she has not been advised of her employment status, but if she has been terminated, it is because of the mandate in this case," end close quote. Kern spoke at the Oakland County Board of Commissioners meeting on Thursday, September 2nd, about her issues with the vaccine mandate. At the time, she said she'd received notice that her health insurance had been canceled as of August 31st due to, quote, "resignation." Quote, "To be very clear, I'm unemployed for refusing and standing against this unconstitutional mandate. There is no choice when there is no right to refuse," end close quote. Kern told the board in a public comment portion of the meeting. She continued on, "I have advocated for patients' rights and choices my entire career. I've treated patients how they wanted to be treated, despite my own personal beliefs," end close quote. When the mandate was instituted, health systems allowed exemptions for medical or religious beliefs. With the hospital system's flu vaccine mandate, less than 1% of the staff has a medical or religious exemption. In June, they expected about the same number for the COVID vaccine. The defendants in the case are listed as Henry Ford Health System, Wright Lassiter III, of course, the president of Henry Ford Health System, and Robert G. Riney, the chief operating officer for Henry Ford Health System. Henry Ford was the first healthcare system in the state to mandate vaccination. So, on one hand, yes, people should have free will and the autonomy to make the best decisions for themselves and for others in their lives without being told what to do by institutions. That is one of the rights that we have as Americans and those living in this country and in this state and in this local area. That being said, in this saying, I'm unemployed when Mrs. Kern, Katie Kern, a registered nurse and unit educator at Henry Ford Health System, said in this, it was quoted at the Oakland County meeting, "I'm unemployed for refusing and standing against this unconstitutional mandate." Well, that may be confirmed by the courts, but as of now, the indications are that under U.S. and state law, employers do have the right to put these vaccine mandates in place, and you have the right to refuse. It is your free will, but should you do so, you will fall under the conditions that were given out to you. There had been ample notice. You had plenty of time to argue that and put in medical exemption or religious exemption, and if you haven't done that, then that's on you. And if it hasn't been granted, then that's between you and your employer. But just like businesses, just like you have the right to make your own decisions for yourself, businesses have the right to make the best decision for their business. And if you don't like that, there are other health systems, I would presume, in Michigan, maybe not in your area, that would hire you, or maybe you need to reevaluate some things and make different decisions. That's not for me to determine whether you do. That's not for anyone to really tell you what to do, but rules are put in place. And if you don't want to follow them, you have the right to walk out the door. Doors open, go ahead. Lastly, on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, as we talk about power outage issues yesterday, I mentioned earlier our interview with Ken Siver, the mayor of Southfield, on that front. DTE customers are down to just 22,000 outages from the Tuesday storms. More than 155,000 customers across the state lost power during the storms. Consumers' energy crews had completed restoration by 10 p.m. to more than 80,000 homes and businesses affected by storms, according to a news release. Less than 10,000 customers remained without power on Tuesday night, and crews were prepared to continue working overnight, said the utility. Of the 80,000 DTE Energy customers affected by the severe thunderstorms that carried wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, 11,189 remained without power as of 10:30 p.m. on Wednesday night. More than 1,300 employees of DTE and 625 local and out-of-state linemen from Canada, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Maine, Ohio, and Tennessee were working to restore power, said the utility. DTE outages were reported near Keagle Harbor, Waterford, Brighton, South Lyon, Marion Township, and Milford, as well as Rochester, Farmington, and the city of Wayne. The National Weather Service reported damaging winds down to trees and power lines and hail up to the size of a quarter from the Tuesday night storms. Flooding was also reported across a swath of northern lower Michigan areas such as Roscommon and Grayling, all the way to Harrisville on the east side of the state. So continued frustration as we're now in the second day of power outages after those Tuesday storms. Still plenty of people that haven't had power restored, and I would encourage you to go to civiccentertv.com/megacast and view our interview yesterday with Ken Siver, the mayor of Southfield, who talked about how this is being approached from his municipal level and from his residents, who put together a petition in cooperation with their neighbors in Lathrop Village to reach out to DTE and say, hey, this is getting ridiculous. We need better lines of communication. We need to work together to be able to fix these issues, because these continued apologies and, oops, we're going to send more crews in there, we're sorry it happened, but you're going to have sustained delays, especially as we go through a situation like this pandemic. More people are working at home. More people are operating their lives out of their homes because of COVID-19, and really because of a change in paradigm. It's the way of the future. These power outages sustaining themselves for an extended period of time will become more and more of a problem as time goes on, and that will cause a lot more frustration for these utilities and put a lot more pressure on them. So having those proper lines of communication, productive lines of communication in place, could really be critical for DTE, for Consumers Energy, and other utilities going forward. Well, that's going to do it for our first segment of the show. We have plenty of more action on today's edition of the Megacast. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk all about the upcoming Detroit Lions season. What better person to talk to about the Lions than the biggest Lions fan of all? Ron Crackman Crachiola joins us next on the Megacast at the bottom of the hour. We'll have Keith Fields and Lady Sarah from the British Comedy Magicians and the creators, British Comedy Magicians and creators of the Magic Soiree, which is coming up at Camp Camp Ticonderoga in Troy in October and in November. At the bottom of the hour, and to kick off the second hour of the show, Dustin McClellan from the Pontiac Community Foundation will join us. And then next hour, we'll be joined by the Executive Director of the American Red Cross Northern Michigan chapter, as well as Dave Garcia, the Executive Director of the nonprofit Affirmations. That all coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
How does marijuana affect the teen brain?
Our brains are still developing into our 20s.
With regular use, marijuana can affect teen brain development.
It can affect our brain's circuitry and blood flow and impair thinking, learning, and memory function,
Which could hold us back from reaching our potential.
Don't let marijuana mess with your brain.
Get the facts at michigan.gov/drug-free.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township as we continue to talk about a number of issues and interesting topics affecting not only Oakland County and southeastern Michigan, but everybody across the state of Michigan. And we hope all of our Michiganders in the lower peninsula, in the upper lower peninsula, in the upper peninsula, east, west, north, and south are all excited for this coming Sunday when the Lions will be taking on the San Francisco 49ers at 1 p.m. at Ford Field in downtown Detroit, and they'll be joined by all of their favorite people, all of the Lions faithful, back at Ford Field once again after a year away from the action due to COVID-19. And the person that will be leading the charge for the fans once again this year is our good friend Ron Crackamn Crachiola, back with us on the Megacast. Crackamn, thanks for being with us today.
Hello.
Good morning. Thanks for coming on. So, how excited are you for the Lions this year? They're coming back. They're back at Ford Field. Fans are back in the stands. How pumped up are you already on this Thursday for Sunday's game against the San Francisco 49ers?
Well, I'll tell you, the best way I think I can put it is, remember when you was just a young little nipper there, young fella, and that first Christmas morning when you come running down the hallway and see all them presents underneath the tree, and you're like, wow, Santa Claus was good to us. So it's like a kid in a candy store. I am so excited and ready to go. Not only myself, but all the great Lions fans across this whole great nation. We're gonna be loud and proud, and tear it up.
How much different is it for Lions fans, especially the super fans like yourself and others that you are regularly tailgating with and sitting near at the game, to come back into that environment again this year? Is it already, just from your preseason experiences, does it seem different than it was pre-pandemic?
Well, I think it's going to be really exciting because, like last year, there was no fans. It's been 2 years since we all got together.
Right.
And we got a new tailgate spot because, you heard that the Eastern Market shut down tailgating, which I can't figure that one out. But anyway, we got a great spot down there behind the Fox Theater at 124 West Montcalm Street. So I'll be down there with the Tub Gators, the Blue Crew, myself. I got the Lions bus. And we're excited to go. We're pumped. We're ready for football. I think this is going to be a great season. I mean, I was at a few of the camps, and you can see the energy in the air. The players are having fun with the new coaching staff, the GM, all the new coaches. It's going to be a special year, and we're ready to take off.
We're joined by Ron Crackamn Crachiola, Detroit Lions superfan, joining us today on the Megacast as the Lions get ready to kick off their season, their 17-game regular season for the first time this year. This coming Sunday at 1 p.m. in their game against the San Francisco 49ers, the home opener. Fans back at Ford Field. And Crackamn, you attended some of the preseason games this year. It's a different experience being at a football game in the preseason than it is in a regular season. But was it a nice warm-up for you and for other fans around you to get back in the stadium, get back in the flow of things, and finally see each other again in that environment where you all grew those bonds over a number of years?
Yeah, it was just great just to walk in the stadium again, you know, and it won't be. It's not the same as a regular season, preseason. You know, you don't have the some of the true fans are in there, but it's just awesome to walk in the building and see even the security people that I know, and it was just like a homecoming, like a big reunion. And I tell you what, this Sunday is going to be off the hook. I mean, the city's going to be rocking, a full house. We're going to take the roof off that place, but it's family. We got. Sure, you know, everybody says, how do you do it, Crack? How do you root for a team that haven't won a championship since 1957? Well, I told people it's easy. You know, if a guy goes hunting and you don't get a deer, you don't sell his deer camp, or you don't sell his boat if you don't catch no fish. And it's a family. You know, it's not only the home games. I go to most of the away games, and we have a group. They all meet up, meet and greet. I'm great friends with other fans from around the country. They're coming in. I got people coming in this weekend, staying at my house. So it's like I say, it's like that first day of that Christmas, man. It's like we're gonna rock and roll, have fun, make some noise.
Back in the most recent heyday of the Detroit Tigers and their most recent success, they used to have a campaign where they asked fans, "Hey, who's your Tiger?" So Crackamn, right now, who's your Lion? Who's your favorite player on this current team?
Well, you know, it's a young team, very young team. So, as a matter of fact, I think they're the youngest squad in the NFL, the Lions. So right now, I'm going to say my favorite guy is going to be the coach, Dan Campbell, to make a winner out of this organization, and Brad Holmes and all the coaching staff.
Yeah, and they got a great new administration in there, great new leadership coming in. It's a different energy, like you said. It's a different energy for fans, but it seems like it's a different energy for the players as well. It's a little bit more relaxed. It's a lot more fun, it seems, for them, and they seem more fired up than ever. Maybe it's coming back to having fans in the stands. Maybe it's a change in leadership and a change in focus, and maybe it's just wanting to have that hunger for a comeback. But this does seem like a very different Lions team. So as you're coming back to watch this Lions team, knowing it's a young team and it's going to be a little bit of a build-up, but you want that fan experience back. Do you and some of your friends from maybe the Blue Crew or the Tub Gators and other super fans that are regularly attending these home games and the tailgates, any road trip plans for this season?
Oh, yes, sir. I'll be, I don't know if you can see the Lions bus over here.
Yeah.
I'm taking that bus to Green Bay Monday night with about 12 of us in there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
We're going to tear up Lambeau.
Yeah, big division rivalry there, seeing possibly the last matchup between the Lions and Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. That a Monday Night Football game, as Crackamn said, 8:15 on Monday, September 20th. That game will be on ESPN and a radio broadcast on 97.1 The Ticket. We're joined by Ron Crackamn Crachiola, Detroit Lions superfan, with us today on the Megacast. So you understand this is a young team. It's a team that's refocusing. It's rebuilding from when it was back in the Matt Patricia Matt Patricia era to now in the Dan Campbell and the Brad Holmes era. What are your predictions for this year's Lions? Is this a team that could be a surprise team for a lot of people despite its youth, or are you expecting this to be another year where they struggle, but you're seeing progress?
Well, I think we're going to surprise some people. You know, you mentioned about certain players on the team that I really like and looking forward to. You know, of course, like Jared Goff. He come in with the trade with Matthew Stafford, and I think he had a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove to a lot of people, and he's a good quarterback, and he's going to prove that. And we got big Frank Ragnow, at center, and this guy's pushing bodies everywhere. And, the offensive line is young, and all it takes with Swift and bringing Williams from Green Bay, Hoxie on the tight end position, and these young receivers, you give this Jared Goff some time to throw, and we're going to surprise some people. He can pick anybody apart. And I think Hawkins will be one of his big targets this year. And, of course, Ragnow and these guys blocking for him, and Swift healthy. So if we stay healthy, we get some depth, and I'm sure they'll be picking up some players along the way, some other players. I got to see them, these first couple games, Green Bay or 49ers and Green Bay, going to be a test for us. But we get them guys, we could take the North. I'm guessing take the North, go like, say, 10-7, 11-6, surprise the people. Once you get some winning behind you and you get that confidence going, anything can happen.
Yeah, gain a little bit of momentum. It's a young team. It's a talented team. But you mentioned it. You said it yourself, Crackamn. Jared Goff is the quarterback that just a few years ago, 5 years ago, 2016, was the #1 overall pick. He was that for a reason. He had a couple of very successful seasons in Los Angeles, and he's got a decent amount of weapons that could be surprising to people. I love the pickup of Tyrell Williams from the Las Vegas Raiders, and we've seen some boom plays from these young guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, certainly T.J. Hawkinson, and I'm excited to see what DeAndre Swift does in his second season as the primary ball carrier for the Lions, and that's just on the offensive side of the ball. The defense still coming back with some quality players. Trey Flowers on the defensive line. I really like their secondary this year, especially led by Amani Oruwariye. So this is a team that's got a lot of promise and could be a surprise to people. It's a rebuilding situation. Certainly, they still got a ways to go before I would say they're a big-time contender. But there's a lot of reason now, more than we've seen in probably the last decade, for Lions fans to be truly excited about what they're going to be seeing in the future on the gridiron.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Even, when I was down at the camp, everybody, I was talking with Lomas Brown, and he's like, these guys are all smiling. You could feel the energy around you. In the building itself, these guys are first class. I mean, they brought in Chris Spillman. That told me a lot right there. This guy's a smart man. He was out there working with the defenses during camp, helping them out. And he brings leadership in the executive position, and because he's a football guy, he's smart, and he knows football. He's not a guy that's never been around it. He's been around his whole life, and he knows people to pick, who don't. And with Brad Holmes coming in, I met Brad Holmes and the coach. These guys are awesome. They got fire. They got fire in them. They got Campbell's like, hey, let's shoot. I mean, the guy is just awesome, and a former player that played with the Lions. I know that in a team, you see them huddle around him. They're excited. I know the fans are excited. I'm excited, and the fans are excited.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Buy-in for a team that is rebuilding, especially a team that's rebuilding with a new GM, with a new head coach, with a lot of new players, especially in leadership positions such as the quarterback position and at wide receiver on the offensive side and in skill positions on defense. Buying in, having that culture developed as soon as possible, and having players really be ready to embrace that can be so crucial for teams that are rebuilding. And I think Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have done a really great job of bringing in established guys with NFL careers like Aaron Glenn, like Deuce Staley, especially on the offensive and the defensive side, that are football guys. And the administration's also brought in other football guys, like you mentioned, like Chris Spielman, guys who get it, guys who have been there and can give some guidance to these young players, but also keep firing them up and say, this is a situation that's really good for you, and if you embrace it, and if you take full charge of the opportunity that you have to show people what you're made of, you can do something great here in Detroit, and you'll have the support of Lions fans, especially Lions fans like superfan Ron Crachiola, who's joining us now on the Megacast. And the Crackman, last thing I want to talk to you about is some changes in the NFL this year. Now, going forward, 3 preseason games, 17 regular season games. That means theoretically going forward, there are going to be a lot of seasons where we get an extra Lions regular season home game. How excited are you to have a potential extra game that really means something to the Lions? It could be the difference between a playoff appearance in years to come.
Right. Well, you know, it's a tough game, and these guys got to stay healthy. That's one thing why depth is so important.
Yeah.
Depth is the biggest thing going right now for all these NFL teams. Because without depth, you got to have the depth. Because at the end, you know, that's a long season, and stay healthy. And but I'm excited. I mean, this year we'll be going out to Denver, so I'm looking forward to that. I got a lot of good friends in Denver. I'm a big snow skier, so maybe I'll take a little skiing in and watch some Lions beat up the Broncos. Hey, it's all good, man. We're back, baby, going strong. Woo! Big bang boom. Down the field and gay. A Lions victory. That's what I'm talking about. Woo! Yeah.
Ron Crackman Crachiola with us on the Megacast, Detroit Lions superfan. Crackman, anything else you have to say for the fans, for the players, for the Lions faithful all throughout Michigan and around the world before we say goodbye today?
Well, I'd like to say, everybody out there, keep the faith, stay strong. This is it. One pride and Godspeed. We will be there. We will take this. This team will go to the Super Bowl. Stay strong. Never give up. You know, it's so young fans. I love young fans. They come up here. Just now, when I was talking to you, young ladies just stopped and took some pictures of me out here. So, oh, my son loves you. You know, that's the young fans are so great. You see them. You bring them up strong and bring them up faithful. You know, I've seen great players come and go. My whole life, 44 years, a Lions season ticket holder. I mean, I've seen them come and go, but a true fans will always stay. I ain't going nowhere. I'll be there till the good Lord takes me to the promised land. So I'm just letting you all fans out there know, in this great nation, around the world, keep the faith, never give up, be faithful to who you are and true to yourself. Godspeed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Crackman. Ron Crackman Crachiola with us on the Megacast, Detroit Lions superfan. You'll be seeing him back at Ford Field along with 60,000 other fans this Sunday as the Lions kick off their season at home against the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we'll go from talking about magic on the football field to magic in Troy at Camp Ticonderoga with Keith Fields and Lady Sarah from the creators of the Magic Soiree. That coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
if you're struggling financially due to a crime.
We're here
For you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe, alongside board operator and studio producer Calvin Brown, here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township, where we broadcast the Megacast all throughout southeastern Michigan, Oakland County, and across the Great Lakes State, each and every day, live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. To learn more about every station on TV, radio, and on the web that is joining us each and every day, and find full episodes and interviews on our website, civiccentertv.com/Megacast, or just go to civiccentertv.com and click on our Megacast link that on your web browser is at the top of the homepage, and on your mobile phone web browser is in the left panel of the homepage. We're pleased to be joined by a couple very entertaining people that will be at Camp Ticonderoga on October 1st and 2nd, as well as November 5th and 6th for the Magic Soiree, and creators Keith Fields and Lady Sarah join us now on the Megacast. Right now we have Keith on the screen with us. Keith, thanks for being with us today.
What a pleasure it is to be here, sir. And I'd like to start this little thing, if you don't mind, with a bit of ukulele music, because over the next 7 hours, I will be playing you 300 years of ukulele music. So strap yourselves in, folks. You're in for a ride. It's going to be exciting. This first piece needs no introduction. It goes a bit like this. Here we go.
Darlings.
What are you doing?
Sorry. No. What are you doing?
Well, I'm playing the ukulele for the ladies and gentlemen in television.
Oh, no. Tyler would like to see some magic. We're going to show them magic.
Sorry, just bear with us just a second. Okay. I'm sorry about this. What do you mean we're going to do magic?
Yes, we're going to tell them about the Magic Soiree.
But I thought this was the ukulele show.
No, magic show.
I've got ready for it. Sorry about this. I've got them ready for the wrong show. Can you fill in for a second?
I'll fill in, darling.
I'll be back in just a second. Okay. Don't go anywhere.
Lovely to see you. Yes, Tyler, you're right. We're opening the Magic Soiree again. So exciting. But Keith will be back in a minute. I do apologise. Any minute now, he'll be back, and we can tell you darling.
Sorry, everything is absolutely okay. There really is no need to panic.
So, Tyler, what I'd like to tell you about, actually, before we start, is
Well, it's a slight technical hitch. I don't want to scare anyone, but it's the mouse.
The mouse?
He's escaped. No, there's no need to panic. He's highly trained.
Highly trained?
Yes, he chooses playing cards, runs up trouser legs, eats small children. He's very good.
Darling, we need to get rid of this.
Really?
Start the magic.
Well, how about this? I'll make the cage float into the air and disappear in a puff of smoke.
By itself?
No, I'm going to throw it. On the count of 3, get ready to catch. 1, 2. I lied about 3. Oh, come on, people. I can see you. You're out there. I'm getting nothing out of these
You go and get ready.
I'll just go and get ready. I'll be back in a second. I'm sorry about this. I do apologize. I've got ready for the wrong show. I'll be...
That's perfectly fine.
How are you this morning, Tyler?
I am doing fantastic, Lady Sarah. How are you? You guys obviously aren't from around here, right?
How can you tell?
No, as you can tell, we're from Flint. As you can tell by our accents.
That's what I thought.
It's a bit of a giveaway. I'll be with you in just a second. Sorry, I can't find the fish.
Where did you last see the fish?
Well, they were in the fish bowl.
Where's the fish bowl?
I put the fish bowl in a bag. I was worried it would get knocked over and make a mess. You see, thinking ahead.
Where's the bag?
I put the bag in my wallet.
Where's your wallet?
In my pocket. Sorry, I found the fish. I do apologise. I'll be ready in just a second. I'll be back, Tyler. I'm sorry about it. What's the matter now?
Hold on. Are you telling me there's goldfish in that wallet?
No, in the wallet was where I put the bag.
Oh.
Yeah, it was in the bag. You see, that's where with a bit of luck and a following wind, I've got a goldfish bowl. Look, it's a fish bowl. It was in the wallet. It's got a fish in it and everything. It's made of plastic, but that would be cruel otherwise.
I'll finish off here with Tyler. You're right, Tyler. We are actually from London town itself. You're absolutely right.
And I've got a special announcement to make today on the show live. Listen, I know you weren't expecting this, but I've just discovered something very exciting. I've just discovered the cure to the common cold.
Oh, go for it. We'd love to hear it.
That's it. That's such enthusiasm. That's it. He obviously wasn't ready for such a big announcement. No. So I'll give you another chance.
He'll come back.
Of course.
I've just discovered something really exciting. I've got to share with you. I've just discovered the cure to the common cold.
What? The common cold.
Like it. Yes, exactly. See, if you get a stuffy nose and you need a clear nose, get yourself one of these. Now, you all recognise what this is, of course. I saw your eyes light up then, Tyler, but you're wrong. It's a balloon. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I wonder what you were thinking for a second. What you do is you insert the tip of the balloon up the block nostril, a bit like this.
Okay.
No, it tickles, but it's worth it. And children, don't try this at home unless supervised by your parents. And even then, ask some very serious questions first. But one big sniff, let go of the right end, you should be absolutely clear. Here we go. Oh, sorry, I forgot. You do have to moisten the end of the balloon first.
Always. Of course. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Salty. OK, one big sniff. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. It's a joke. It's over here, Tyler. What do you think I'm going to do for crying out loud? I think he's actually believing I'm doing this.
Just go and get ready.
I'm nearly ready. I'll be with you in just a second. I'm sorry about this, Tyler.
Oh, it's perfectly fine.
30 years we've been married.
Wow.
And they've been the best 27 years of my life.
Wow. Those first 3 are tough.
Three of them were a bit iffy. Let's not argue about it in front of the ladies and gentlemen. Hey, listen, I've got to show you my new invention. I've just discovered this great thing. It's a flat 7-sided dice.
Oh, done.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yes, there's a 1 on that side, there's a 4 on that side, there's a 3 on that side, there's a 6 on that side, there's a 1 on that side. It's absolutely brilliant.
Darling.
What? I'll show you again. There's a 1 on that side, a 4 on that side, a 3 on that side, a 6 on that side, and a 1 on that side.
Hold on, where's the 2?
There is a 2.
Is there a 2?
Yeah, the 2's there, you see. Yeah, I was cheating. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me explain. You see, if you cover that one, it looks like a 1. And if you cover the blank side, you sort of assume there's an extra spot there. It looks like a 3. And if I cover this one over here like this, it looks like a 6. And if I cover that one, it looks like a 4, you see.
So there isn't a 6?
Yes, there is a 6.
Hold on. What? Let's go back. Was there a 3?
Yes, the 3's on that side where I said it was.
So what's on the 7th side?
Well, that's where I put the 8. See, it's magic, Tyler. It's magic.
It is. So tell us a little more about the Magic Soiree.
Let's sit down and talk to this man.
Let's talk to this man, for goodness sake.
We have chairs, we have another camera view as well. Look at that, almost professional. How you doing, Tyler? Sorry to come in and take over your show.
Oh, that's fine. No, that's much more entertaining than I always am. So thank you very much, Keith and Lady Sarah. Tell us a little bit more about the Magic Soiree and how you came to start doing it.
We have been performing for 30-odd years on both sides of the pond.
All around the world.
All around the world. And recently here, established in Michigan, there are many magic theatres, dinner theatres around the US. In fact, again, around the world.
It's quite surprising. People don't actually know there are little magic venues which just put on magic shows. And people don't even know they exist. And we figured it was about time we had one here in
Metro Detroit. So we opened up the Magic Soiree back in 2017-18 at Camp Ticonderoga in Troy.
And closed down in 19, obviously.
That's how it works.
And about to open back up. And what it means is that people come to Camp Ticonderoga. It's known well for its food. They come up to the soiree, to the loft, and...
Yes, did you know it's got an upstairs room in Camp Ticonderoga?
Got a very nice upstairs room. They join us for dinner. There's close-up magic actually performed at their tables, right in front of them, so that they can see the magic right happen in front of their eyes.
Have you ever experienced close-up magic, Tyler?
Not very close. It's usually been at least a room's length apart. Sometimes it gets dangerous.
It is it's an amazing experience when you actually magic, as we always say, it's so much better live. It's one of those things that's you never kind of know what's going on when it's on television. You never kind of quite know if they've edited it or something like this. And when you see magic live, you see something totally unbelievable happen in front of you. It's kind of a mind-blowing experience, and it really is. It just sort of makes you. It's an awesome. It's the wonder of that moment when something impossible happens right in front of you. It's a great feeling.
So we have close-up magicians who are professionals who perform right at your table, right there and then. You enjoy your lovely food at the soiree. And then you have a full-on magic show followed...
a stage show!
Followed by...
I can't tell you who it's featuring, it's a trade secret, but it's awfully exciting. Very fast-moving and very funny.
Very fast-moving. It's a part of our theatre show that we use, part of the show that we do at the Magic Castle in LA, we do it in London. So we've taken highlights and the best bits.
That's easy for you to show. It's rented lips. She's breaking them in for a friend.
And that's what we do. So that is the Magic Soiree.
That is the Magic Soiree in a nutshell.
A phenomenal night out.
Yes, it's a perfect night for a celebration or a party or just because you want to have some fun with some friends.
So you mentioned one of the reasons for opening up for starting the Magic Soiree at Camp Ticonderoga, but really what brought the two of you to the state of Michigan? Of all places you could have gone to, what drew you to Michigan?
A big aeroplane.
Yeah.
Of course. We flew here. Believe it or not, I don't know if I'll try. I'm losing the ability to speak.
Rented lips for you
it's
too,
early
Keith.
in the morning for us. Believe it or not, Michigan has a huge magic history, which many people have no idea about. Some of the greatest magicians in the world have lived here, died here, had their bases here. Harry Houdini, probably the most famous magician in the world, did his last show down in Detroit, and he actually died in Detroit as well, and that was almost 100 years ago.
There's a town in the middle of Michigan called Colon, which is known as the magic capital of the world.
Yeah.
So many great magicians have come from here. Many great magicians are still here. And so we thought it was just a great time to relive all that and bring magic here back to Michigan.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I think I counted 4 headliners in Vegas, doing shows in Vegas that all come from Michigan, magicians that all come from Michigan. So there is this strange magical, I don't know, Michigan is a magical place. I mean, you know, we moved here and we absolutely love it. It's our home now. We've had our children go through their education here. And now we're running Michigan's best magic dinner theatre.
That's what it's been known as.
The best night out in Detroit.
Best night out in Detroit. And it really is. It's something different. It's lovely to go out for dinner. We've got some incredible restaurants, but to have a bit of entertainment as well. Such fun.
And it's a really fun show. I've seen some of the videos of your performances at the Magic Soiree. We're joined by Keith Fields and Lady Sarah. They're British comedy magicians and are the creators of the Magic Soiree. One of the things that I read as I was doing my research for today's interview one of the things I read was that you are officially known as aliens with extraordinary ability. What is that about?
I know. Oh, this is crazy. This is not something we made up. This is an official government thing that we got. Believe it or not, to get into America is kind of what are we? Foreigners. You have to jump through various hoops. But one of the boxes you can tick is if you have an extraordinary ability and you prove to the government you have an extraordinary ability, you become labelled as an alien with extraordinary ability, and then the American government says, yes, you can come here.
But you do have to prove that you're extraordinary.
Yes.
You have to have done various things to get this title.
And our extraordinary ability happens to be in the entertainment world. We've achieved a number of things in the UK as entertainers, and they said, yes, we'd like you to come to America. So we are officially aliens of extraordinary ability. It says so on the stamp in our passports.
How nice is that,
I know, yes, it's a title. It's a title.
Tyler's obviously been working really hard on researching us. Do you think he's been paying attention?
Have you been paying attention, Tyler?
Of course.
Always. Well, how about we'll do a quick attention test for you.
Sure.
This is going to make you work. I'm going to show you these 5 cards, and you have to memorise them. Okay.
Okay.
Then I'm going to ask you some questions, but don't worry, no stress. If you don't know the answer, you can phone a friend, ask the audience, anything you like.
Talk to your producer. I don't know, whatever.
I'll show you the cards. Okay, there are the cards. If you could just memorise those for me.
Sure.
Okay. Have you got them? You're looking a bit blank, but
I'm always looking a bit blank. I'm blind. There's nothing else going on up here.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay. So first question, which we sometimes refer to as question number 1.
Because we're bilingual.
Yeah,
American, English.
Yeah.
We can go back and forth. So, darling, how many cards do we have?
You had 5 cards.
Oh, wow.
He's good, isn't he?
He's really on the ball.
Okay, next question. You're currently looking at the back of the cards, but what's printed on the face, my side?
Absolutely nothing.
It was all going so well.
You know when he said nothing?
We said he could ask for it. Yeah, you obviously missed the fact that...
He went straight in, he was keen.
Yeah, you obviously missed the ace on the back there, but don't worry, everyone's allowed one mistake.
It's okay.
That's why they put erasers on the end of pencils. I've got no idea what that means.
Should we go with the next question,
yes,
darling?
Yes, the next question. Yes, okay.
The next question, darling, is what colour is the back of the cards?
Oh, they're red. With
you were paying attention? Yeah. Red blank cards was what you... Well, actually, what we've got here is a blue back royal flush. You were obviously paying no attention whatsoever.
He tried.
He tried. Yeah, you just switch off after a while. I know what it's like. Yeah.
It's sudden onset colorblindness, does it?
Wow!
So we're doing stuff like that close up at the tables and right in people's faces as well as on stage to create a whole experience, an entertainment experience.
Entertainment experience. Because really, people need a night out. They need to feel safe, but they need to have a night out too.
And we have cocktails.
Well, shh! Don't tell everybody that bit.
Magic's always better with cocktails.
Lots of cocktails.
Only if you're over 21. Right.
Yes.
Otherwise, yes.
Yes, certainly not.
Don't try this at home. So you're magicians, but Keith, you're also a musician as well, which makes it easy for people when they mess up saying magician. Can you really play the ukulele?
Can I really? Would you like me to play the ukulele?
Absolutely. I'd love nothing more.
No, you really wouldn't. I think it's probably time to end this interview. Now, I don't think we need to...
But I'm very good on the ukulele. I practice and everything. She doesn't let me play in front of people.
We've got an awful lot of them, you know.
Yeah, we have a ukulele collection. They're addictive. They are.
Have we got any magical ukuleles?
Any magical ukulele? No, we haven't actually.
Yeah.
We should have a magical ukulele thing, shouldn't we? Really?
Does it play itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be perfect. That would be truly perfect.
Maybe the floating ukulele. That would be a new effect we could bring in.
You see, I like that. I like that.
See, we come on a show, we get good ideas. Good ideas for our show. This is good. Have you got any other good ideas for us there?
No.
I'm usually just chock full of terrible ideas. So I'll give you my one good idea, and that's the only good idea I'm going to have for the next, let's say, 7 to 10 years.
Well, we'll take it and run with it.
Wow. And he's only 12.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they tell me. That's what reads on my birth certificate. I have a fake ID that allowed me to get employed. Anyway, so I know you guys are hilarious. You're great magicians. What other things do the two of you do?
Oh, well, on the other side of things,
what do we do, darling? Tell me, what do we do?
We have a serious life as well.
Yes, terribly serious.
We spend part of our time training business people on how to be better presenters, especially as, you're obviously aware with your excellent and burgeoning career in the television world, you're obviously aware that
burgeoning?
Yes, I thought it was a good word.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
you're aware of the skills that television presenters need, and in business nowadays, because people are on Zoom so often, we figured out that basically, business people are becoming TV presenters, and they need to learn the skills that we know through our TV experience.
And in fact, Tyler, it's something that we've done for many years. Before Zoom, was teaching people how to present well, how not to come up with ums and ahs in stuttering their way through their lines. Although we did mess up on a few words earlier. How to keep to time, how to work out their presentations. So there's a business angle to that on truly professional presenters, and I think it's a real skill that people don't use nowadays. Or don't even think about. They think they can just get up in front of a group of people and talk, and that's not an easy skill.
So we're bringing the skills that we learn from the show business side of things and teaching it to business people, and it's amazing actually, a few simple techniques of sort of showmanship can take what is a boring meeting and suddenly make it an interesting meeting and keep people on the edge of their seats throughout the whole thing. So that's kind of one of the other things we do. Lady Sarah also writes children's books, so we give a quick plug for that as well.
Oh, yes, delicious, delectable sauce.
Yes.
I go into schools and I speak to elementary children and encourage them to write their own stories or draw pictures for their own stories, and show them stories that I've written myself that were inspired by my father, bedtime stories. So just encouraging young people to write again, and I think that's a great trait. Great trait, something to encourage. So we've written books. You've written some books, babe.
Yeah, we also help other performers and invent magic as well and write books about magic. In fact, one of my illusions is currently appearing in a show in Vegas. And I'm halfway through making another one for another Vegas act. So, we do have to do kind of a lot of different things, really.
We do. The arts are very important, and they bring so many skills to us, whether we stand on stage or whether we're presenting in business or whatever we're doing. We need those arts and the entertainment world. So we're encouraging
Fortunately, the entertainment world has taken a bit of a beating over the last few months because big groups of people aren't something we're seeing a lot of. So we've had to be very creative in what we're doing and how we're getting out to people and how we're reaching people. But here we are, we're here, and if we can help anyone, we have done a lot of work with charities helping them with their fundraisers and things like that. So if you're out there doing a fundraiser and you need some help, something different, please get in touch.
Yeah.
We are here to help.
We have worked with many non-profits, and we're looking at working with them over the Christmas time for when they'd normally have a gala. They're now doing both hybrid, in person and on Zoom. So we're doing both of that aspects. So the non-profits, we're right behind you. It's been a tough year for you all.
So tell us about you, Tyler.
What do you do?
You've been asking us all these questions. We figure we'd like to know something about you.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, other than, well, I'm a radio guy that's doing television now. You can tell, of course, because of this thing I got going on here that most people call a face. But I have a background in performances as well. I've done in the past I've done some theater and done some stand-up comedy and done an entertainment-based radio show, some news parody also. So I definitely understand what you guys are saying. I'm picking up what you're throwing down. The creative process is even more important now than it's ever been before. And helping businesses take that into account as they're going forward, especially with new marketing strategies being necessary, new operating strategies being necessary, and presentation becoming more important than ever before with the advent of social media. But then also, I'd like the angle that you're taking with kids as well, because it's so easy over the course of a child's life to kind of temper their creativity, and in that case, it kind of gets crushed. And I had a professor in college who goes around tours talking about creativity, particularly to children also, and allowing them to see that your creativity can be a huge benefit to you throughout your life is so important. So we really appreciate the message, and we also appreciate your time talking about your show. So for those that maybe are not familiar or haven't heard of the Magic Soiree before, what are some upcoming dates for your show at Camp Ticonderoga?
Well, this weekend is totally full, so we can't help you there. We usually do one weekend a month, but we're hoping to go up to 2 weekends a month as soon as the world will allow us to do that.
So we open again on the 1st and 2nd of October. Tickets are out there, dinner included in the ticket price, and then the 5th and 6th of November too at themagicsoiree.com. So you'll find those tickets there. Give us a shout if you've got any questions, any information that you need.
We're here to help.
We're here to help. We're here to encourage. We're here to make you laugh, which you might need. A little laugh.
Yeah, people do. They absolutely need a laugh more than ever now with what we've been going through over the last year and a half. We appreciate it. Keith Fields and Lady Sarah from the Magic Soiree with us on the Megacast. Anything else before we say goodbye today?
No, just keep smiling.
Yeah, just remember the important things, which are www.themagicsoiree.com.
Soiree, S-O-I-R-E.
A magic lesson and a spelling lesson as well. We appreciate it. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Lady Sarah.
Take care.
Cheerio.
Cheerio.
Yes, have a good day. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Megacast and listening on your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. My apologies to the Federal Communications Commission for being outside the 5-minute window on those IDs. But hey, we're here to entertain. We're here to inform. So, sorry. We'll do better tomorrow, FCC. Please don't take me off the air. It's bad enough I'm here with my face already. We're going to take a break. On the other side of the break, we'll talk to another person that's doing a lot to help children in our community, not only creatively, but as they are developing into the next great leaders of our community and great citizens as well. Dustin McClellan from the Pontiac Community Foundation joins us next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. Being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary. And if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
We're pleased to be joined now to start off our second hour of the show by Dustin McClellan. He is the founder and CEO of the Pontiac Community Foundation. Dustin, thanks for being back with us today.
Tyler, great to be with you and the team at the Megacast. Always appreciate you guys having us out.
Yeah, appreciate having you on. So tell us a little bit what's been going on lately with the Pontiac Community Foundation.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tyler. You know, for those that may be hearing about us for the first time, the Pontiac Community Foundation is an independent 501c3 organization dedicated to building a brighter future for Pontiac. We really serve as a critical leadership organization in the city of Pontiac, at times serving as a funder, fiduciary, convener, thought leader, partner for programs, initiatives that we really feel will target strategic issues in the community of Pontiac. And so we've had a very vibrant summer. We've just wrapped up our Open Streets programming under what we call our neighborhood investment bucket, where we work with local organizations to promote healthy activity and play at local parks and in blocking off the streets adjoining those parks to expand those play areas. That's something we started in 2020 as kind of a relief effort during COVID to get folks outdoors and utilizing those resources. And so we just wrapped that up, was able to have many children and families out in those activities. Grateful for our wonderful partners that helped us and helped to sponsor that. Wonderful event. Dovetailing that this fall, we're launching a redevelopment initiative of Maddie McKinney Hatchet Park, a local neighborhood park that is desperately in need of some updating and upgrading. Maddie McKinney Hatchet is a former elected official, hometown hero for us. And so we're just excited to be playing such a role in the city, honored that the residents and local government would have us do that. And of course, there's many other things going on as well, Tyler, that I'm sure we'll get into.
So give us a little bit more of the details on the redevelopment of the park. What is that redevelopment going to look like? And what is kind of the thought behind that redevelopment? And what's the purpose of going about it the way that the Pontiac Community Foundation is?
That's great. So Maddie McKinney Hatchet Park is about a 2-acre park on the east side of town. And, you know, we've talked previously, Tyler, about Pontiac's challenges coming out of emergency management and receivership and, you know, putting dollars toward parks and recreation and redevelopment of parks that haven't been touched or maintained for many years is a challenge. And so, you know, the neighborhood and particularly Commissioner Emeritus Maddie McKinney Hatchet, who lives near the park, brought this to our attention and said, hey, what if we join together, we invest the dollars, redevelop this park, use it as a catalyst in our neighborhoods and city for other park developments, and really create a state-of-the-art space in the midst of the city. And so that's really what we're doing. We're working with 2 of our board members, Kyle Westberg, who owns West Construction, and Patrick Zaremba, who owns Zaremba & Co. Landscape Architects, to put together an incredible design for this park. And then leveraging the goodwill of residents across the area, both in Pontiac and outside of Pontiac, to raise the dollars, and of course other philanthropic partners, and to spend near $500,000 on this park to create new walking paths, new basketball courts, and exercise equipment, all of the amenities that, you know, someone living in a local neighborhood will want in their park, and we're hoping to uplift that need and opportunity in the city of Pontiac.
And those are the kinds of things that are really important to community building, because these are gathering places where where neighbors meet each other and build relationships and build that sense of community. It's also where, much like your Open Streets program, where children meet and they play and they get to know the people that are going to be their classmates, their neighbors, and so on, and build those relationships that ultimately foster a stronger community down the line.
That's right. You know, there's several advantages and benefits to doing a development and work like this overall in the community. There's the inherent health benefit. You know, this is a statistic that always, when people hear it, they're just mind-boggled. But the city of Pontiac has a 20-year lower life expectancy than surrounding communities. That stat comes directly from the Oakland County Health Department. So, you know, promoting healthy play, promoting activity, that's a huge benefit. There's a huge ROI there. Investing in community, getting people together, you know, through community development and citizens district councils and block parties and all those things that promote healthy community are really really good. And then just being a good partner with the city. Just being a good partner with our city. You know, I think sometimes those in government, especially as we're seeing it during these COVID times, they get the short end of the stick. And so we can come and be a great partner. I think it spreads goodwill in our community.
We're joined by Dustin McClellan. He is the founder and CEO of the Pontiac Community Foundation with us today on the Megacast. And to connect the redevelopment of the park with the Open Streets program. Let's go back to the Open Streets program because this year is a little bit different than what we went through in 2020 in September and October when you had previously run the Open Streets program initially. So what was the impact of this program in 2021 that was different on the children that were able to have those interactions and have that free play time, as opposed to in 2020 as it was more of an uncertainty then, and now it's been more of a reopening and a revision of what we're going to be doing going forward, while also still dealing with COVID-19?
That's a great question, Tyler. You know, the initial innovation of this initiative came by way of a local neighborhood group, Friends of the Pontiac Parks Association, that saw both the need to have safety in our local parks through sanitation and signage and those items, but also said, you know, let's use this as an opportunity to get people outdoors. And we're grateful for Oakland County for partnering with us through dollars to make this initiative happen. And of course, when we first launched it in the middle of last year, the people were nervous. They were unsure, can we even come outside and recreate and it still be safe? And ensuring that things were properly sanitized and, of course, social distancing and all the things outside, you know, we were able to make it a worthwhile event and engagement. And so when the opportunity came back this year to do it, you know, people were ready. They were excited. You know, although we're still dealing with this pandemic, I think through vaccinations and all the other things we have now, I think people are learning how to deal with it. And so, you know, the children, the families, the community coming out, even using vendors, those that have food products and other recreation products, Oakland County Parks, Pontiac Youth Recreation, Sheriff Powell groups that weren't able to do their normal programs last year, for them to be able to come out and partner with us is absolutely incredible. And so, you know, I'm hoping that we continue to trend upward, both with, you know, we get through this challenge right now with COVID, but also that we're able to continue to practice healthy community in Pontiac through this initiative.
And these kinds of programs have also been important for children also during this time because of their own isolation because of the pandemic and their own efforts to stay safe. Because while they usually get that kind of playtime and interaction with their peers, from school or from summer programs, that wasn't the case in 2020. That's not been the case in many cases so far in 2021 because of the ongoing pandemic, where we've had virtual learning or a hybrid learning situation or social distancing where you're not surrounded by many of your cohorts. And these kinds of programs provide a safe outdoor opportunity to have those interactions that supplement what's not being had in the school.
That's correct. Yeah, you know, we were already seeing challenges in getting folks engaged in local parks and activity prior to the pandemic, where things are just changing as a society, as technology grows, and even in remote learning that was taking place before COVID, now you add all those layers that you just mentioned. It's going to be an ongoing challenge to get this next generation active out of isolation. And we know the other benefits of being around other people, the mental health benefits as well, that we saw so many challenges there that our children were facing and still are facing. There's a fear about going back to school. There's a fear about wearing masks. There's a fear about all those things. And so how do we break through that? Well, we'll let all of the big wigs have the debates on what we should and shouldn't do, but how do we break through what needs to happen for a child to just have a healthy life? So that's what we're really hoping to accomplish.
We're joined by Dustin McClellan, founder and CEO of the Pontiac Community Foundation, and beyond these programs that are in place that are helping children, there's still a number of other things that are in the community, not only in Pontiac, but in our surrounding areas that are still affecting people in terms of COVID-19. What are some of the other efforts that the Pontiac Community Foundation has ongoing right now to help people in the community in Pontiac deal with the ongoing effects of and the ever-changing effects through time of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tyler. We've talked previously on the Megacast about our Center for Pontiac Entrepreneurship that we launched last year in the midst of the pandemic, seeing the need that, budding small businesses and entrepreneurs had for a mentorship, navigating through COVID, capital, keeping things going and alive during COVID, and then other skills building and networking opportunities. And so we launched that initiative, and we're just so grateful that recently we've been able to give out a number of grants to small businesses in the city of Pontiac, everything from daycare, child caring centers to food truck vendors, and everything in between, folks that are just really our economic vitality. That's the name of that bucket for us, the economic vitality. These people represent the best of it. And so, we had over 100 applicants asking for dollars, still indicating that they were struggling trying to navigate through. And so we're providing another round of grant funding that'll be announced here in the next couple of months for small businesses in Pontiac. And we're excited about continuing to reach the needs there. The other item I'll just mention is our task force on racial health inequities. We received some funding last year, knowing challenges that an underserved community like Pontiac faces, particularly even communities of color faced during COVID. We said, let's do a deep dive analysis and really see what are these perpetuating issues that need to be tackled, need to be identified, and what are those social determinants of health that are different in a city like Pontiac than other communities that we can tackle both now and post-COVID. And so we're grateful for the many leaders that are on that task force. That work is kind of coming to culmination here in the fall. We'll be producing an action plan for the community to take and understand, and others to help pick up alongside of us to move forward some actionable items so that, God forbid the next pandemic comes, it doesn't hit community like Pontiac as hard.
We're joined by Dustin McClellan, founder and CEO of the Pontiac Community Foundation. Dustin, just a few more minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. If people want to get involved with the Pontiac Community Foundation, what are some of the different ways that they can get involved, and what are some of the needs of the foundation right now from other people in the community that want to help their neighbors and their friends and other people in Pontiac?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tyler. Would love for people to check us out on the web, PontiacCommunityFoundation.org, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Pontiac Community Foundation. Would love for you to send me an email, Dustin@PontiacCommunityFoundation.org. Moving forward this park project, finding both sponsors that would love to give monetarily, even those that maybe this year has been great for you. We found that many in construction have had great years, and you say, you know what, we want to do an in-kind gift or bring our employees out to do a volunteer day or something like that for the redevelopment of that Manny McKinney Hatchet Park and for the betterment of the community and the children and the families that so desperately deserve to be valued, that have been underserved for many, many years. This would be a great give back and a great way to wrap up a tumultuous couple of years.
We're joined by Dustin McClellan, founder and CEO of the Pontiac Community Foundation. Dustin, just another minute before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that it would be important or interesting for our audience to know today about the Pontiac Community Foundation?
Yeah, I'll pivot just a little bit to Pontiac. You know, I know folks are reading. We're having an interesting year, elections, and so many things happening in Pontiac with the Phoenix Center, Ottawa Towers. And I just ask folks in the surrounding communities, don't count Pontiac out. As we get into the fall and the new year, come check us out. Come grab a bite to eat downtown. Come try and do business here. It's a wonderful community that we should all be a part of.
Well, Dustin, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Tyler.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in our studios here in West Bloomfield Township. As we continue to broadcast across Oakland County, southeastern Michigan, and across the state on television and radio, as well as on the web. Find more information about all of our partnering stations and where you can watch the Megacast, as well as where you can get on-demand video of our full episodes, such as today's episode, and all of our interviews, including our next interview, where we're pleased to be joined by Cathy Anthofer-Fialon. She is the Executive Director of the American Red Cross Northern Michigan chapter, joining us now on the Megacast. Cathy, thank you for being with us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate having you on. So right now you're actually on the ground in Louisiana with the American Red Cross, working on hurricane relief after the recent hurricane season made a big impact with in the last couple of weeks down in Louisiana. Of course, a place that still very much in their memory has Hurricane Katrina and the disaster that resulted from that severe weather incident in the early 2000s. What's the status right now down in Louisiana? How are things going with the relief effort? And how are the people down in Louisiana that you are encountering, that live there, that work there, that spend their time there, how are they holding up right now after the hurricane?
So when I came down, I arrived on Tuesday, and I was assigned to 4 different parishes. 2 of them were some of the hardest hit parishes. Very rural areas, very similar in a lot of ways to northern Michigan. And one of the communities I was in, the city was about the size of Traverse City, and every single power pole in the entire community was down. Every single roof that I saw had damage. Businesses were completely destroyed. So a lot of devastation, but amazing people. I have had the opportunity to work with people that are essentially sleeping where they work to get the job done, and they don't have electricity at their homes. People have joined together. Community partners have come from all over the country with Red Cross to make sure people have food and water and emergency supplies that they might need.
We're joined by Cathy Anthofer-Fialon. She is the Executive Director of the American Red Cross Northern Michigan chapter, with us on the Megacast, down in Louisiana currently, working on Hurricane Ida relief with the American Red Cross. And so obviously the storm was anticipated. It was a Category 4 as it was moving north up the Gulf of Mexico. Is expected to to be a very, very treacherous storm, potentially even upgrading to a Category 5. How far in advance did you know, or how far in advance at least does the American Red Cross begin to plan for relief efforts, and maybe how far before Hurricane Ida made landfall in Louisiana and in the southern U.S., did you know that you were going to be there on the front lines in the relief effort?
So what's interesting about this storm is, yes, it was in the Gulf, but it strengthened very, very quickly to hurricane strength and to that Category 4 hurricane strength, much more quickly than what has been seen previously. So usually, there needs to be about 72 hours to get everyone out of a community. And the communities here did not have that kind of awareness that it was going to be that strong until it strengthened. It just strengthened so quickly. When I first heard that the storm was a possibility, we put in our availability into a system. So I raised my hand and I said, hey, if you need me, I'm willing to go. Some volunteers were brought down before the storm, and we call that pre-deployed, before the storm, so they could hit the ground just the moment that the storm passed. And then others of us, like myself, came right after the storm. So I arrived on Tuesday. And right now I happen to be in New Orleans, sitting in an office in New Orleans, doing some work before I head back out to the communities that I've been assigned. So one of the communities I've been assigned was very hard hit. It's a community near the airport in New Orleans. They still have, much of their community has no electricity. And it's a community that people really didn't have the means to evacuate, to get out of the area. So a lot of apartments and a lot of duplexes. And I've been working with the city there, and they've been amazing in partnering with us and giving us the locations that we can get in and make sure people have food and that people have water and that people have the supplies they need. So I've been on the ground in that community, trying to provide what we can with some of our other amazing volunteers. So we have volunteers from all over the country down here.
We're joined by Cathy Anthofer-Fialon. She is the Executive Director of the American Red Cross Northern Michigan chapter, with us on the Megacast. Cathy, you talked about kind of what went into applying to be part of the relief effort down in the New Orleans area after Hurricane Ida. How do chapters of the Red Cross like yours that do end up volunteering for these relief efforts, what ultimately prompts your volunteerism for this? Is it just simply availability and obviously the goodness of your hearts to want to help people in need after a tragedy such as a natural storm event like Hurricane Ida? Or is it specific to kind of the general areas that are affected by these kinds of storms that does ultimately prompt which chapters of the Red Cross from across the state of Michigan and also across the U.S. would then prompt themselves to say, we're available for the relief effort?
So when we put in our availability, we don't know which disaster we may possibly be sent to. So as you know, we had wildfires happening. While I was down here, of course, Ida went up the East Coast and we had people who had to respond there. So our volunteers just put their name in and raise their hand and say, I'll go where I'm needed. And that's so incredible. We do need volunteers. So if anyone has an interest, all the training is provided for you. It is all free training. Just go to redcross.org/volunteer today, and we'll get you trained, and possibly you could even help us this hurricane season.
And are there focused areas of training, or is it kind of a general training for relief efforts such as this on multiple scales?
It is very focused. So essentially, when you fill out your application to volunteer, you are interviewed to find out what your interest area is. We have people that are doing IT work because that has to be behind the scenes kind of coordination. We have people working in shelters, doing feeding. We have a lot of health professionals, licensed health professionals that are in our shelters, helping people get prescriptions replaced. We have people that drive trucks. And in fact, it may be people that have like driving trucks, but don't do it professionally. I met a medical doctor down here who actually volunteers every year to do disaster assessment. She is a medical doctor, but she said she really feels like she needs to take a break from her practice, and she enjoys getting out in the community and assessing the damage of homes.
We're joined by Cathy Anthofer-Fialon. She's the Executive Director of the American Red Cross Northern Michigan chapter, joining us today on the Megacast. And Cathy, for those that do end up volunteering and they do go to these different places across the U.S. for these relief efforts. When you do get on site, what is kind of the process of then going into the legwork that goes into the relief efforts? What is kind of the experience that a volunteer may face, albeit knowing that one disaster relief effort versus the next is always going to be different and have its own variety?
So you really have to be flexible when you come into a disaster situation. So for example, the first 3 nights I slept on a cot in the chapter office because there was no other place for us as volunteers to sleep at that time because there was no electricity at any hotels, any shelters that were stood up. There were no shelters at that time for staff. And so as we're here longer, we're able to, and electricity begins coming on and we're able to coordinate with partners, we get those things. So flexibility is key. Every time you go to a disaster operation, there is staff that is in charge of staff wellness. Every day there's a meeting where we all rally in the morning to find out what the day ahead is like. There's lots of opportunity to be mentored when you're here. There's a lot of camaraderie. I am staying at a location where there's a very large number of Red Cross volunteers here at this location. And we see each other every morning. We see each other when we go to eat, and a lot of camaraderie.
We're joined by Cathy Anthofer-Fialon on the Megacast. She is the executive director of the Michigan chapter of the Northern Michigan chapter of the American Red Cross. And there's not only a need for volunteers, there's also a need for supplies that go into these kinds of relief efforts, not just for Hurricane Ida, which you're currently participating in down in the New Orleans area, but for other disasters like the wildfires that you mentioned, like the hurricane and tropical storm relief on the East Coast and others. What are some of the biggest needs in terms of supply donations that regular people that may be watching the show today or on demand on our website, what are some of those supplies that are most needed right now by the American Red Cross to be able to provide the support that they need to people that are living under these disastrous conditions?
So honestly, it is much better for people to make a financial donation rather than make a donation of actual supplies, because if we have donations of supplies, then that becomes a whole nother logistical piece that we have to manage. So when people make a financial donation, we can make sure we can turn that right around and get it to the area where it's needed most and get it to the supplies and buy those with our partners in the community of where it's needed. So then we don't have the long transportation of those supplies.
We're joined by Cathy Anthofer-Fialon. She is the executive director of the American Red Cross chapter in Northern Michigan with us on the Megacast. And Cathy, in a normal situation outside the hurricane relief, there are still also volunteer opportunities and other opportunities with the American Red Cross in your local area in Northern Michigan. What are some other activities that people can get involved in their hometown and their local areas with the American Red Cross that really, especially right now, in the situation we're in with the pandemic and heading into flu season, that are most common and helpful to their home communities?
So always donating blood. Of course, there's a great need for blood at all times. So donating blood, working at a blood drive. We also serve our armed forces, our Services to Armed Forces program. So working with families who have a member of their family deployed, if there's some sort of emergency, being able to provide that communication to that loved one who's deployed and find out if they need to come home and make that happen. We have many programs. We have our international programs. We have where we have volunteers that are going into schools and teaching international humanitarian law. We have opportunities, of course, to respond to emergencies right in your own community. Home fires happen often, especially as we come into winter months and people are using alternative sources of heating. So we have disaster action teams of volunteers that go to those fires and provide immediate assistance to those families, disaster mental health support, spiritual care, as well as opening a case and managing that case and staying with that family until we're able to hand them off to one of our partners who does long-term recovery or get them back up on their feet and going.
We're joined by Cathy Anthofer-Fialon. She is the executive director of the Northern Michigan chapter of the American Red Cross with us on the Megacast. And Cathy, just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. For those that maybe just are just tuning in now, or those that may be interested and missed the information earlier on, where can people go? Where should people go if they're interested in volunteer opportunities with the American Red Cross, whether it be the Northern Michigan chapter or their local chapter?
redcross.org/volunteer today, and we need you. We absolutely need you. If you want to stay in your home chapter, that's fine. If you're interested in deploying, as you've probably seen on the news, there are disasters happening all over our country.
Yeah, we're not out of hurricane season just yet. We're not out of the warm seasons of the year, so hurricanes, wildfires going to continue to be things that pop up. Hopefully we won't see them, but it's very likely we'll see more of them going forward. Cathy, we appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cathy Anthofer-Fialon, she is the Executive Director of the American Red Cross chapter in Northern Michigan, with us on the Megacast. Again, redcross.org for more information on making donations, on volunteering, on the needs of the Red Cross to provide support to people in disaster situations such as what's currently the situation down in New Orleans as a result of Hurricane Ida, on the East Coast as a result of other tropical storms and natural disasters and wildfires across the U.S. as well. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we'll cap off the show by speaking with Dave Garcia, the Executive Director of Affirmations. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
How does marijuana affect the teen brain?
Our brains are still developing into our 20s.
With regular use, marijuana can affect teen brain development.
It can affect our brain's circuitry and blood flow and impair thinking, learning, and memory function.
Which could hold us back from reaching our potential.
Don't let marijuana mess with your brain.
Get the facts at michigan.gov/drug-free.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith, alongside our studio operator and producer, Calvin Brown, with us today as we broadcast live from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday. Find all of our episodes and each interview from every episode of our show on our website at civiccentertv.com/Megacast, where you can also find more information on all of our partnering stations and their other public and community television and radio programming throughout the day, and about My Michigan TV, Michigan's very own streaming network with creators all throughout the state of Michigan making content that is specifically about Michigan, whether it be news stories, documentaries, live talk programs such as the Megacast and Steve Leto Live that will come up after us. Find all that information about My Michigan TV and all of our other partners, civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Founded in 1989 with a mission to provide a welcoming space where people of all sexual orientations, gender identities, and expressions and cultures can find support and unconditional acceptance, Affirmations was found in the Detroit area, and we're pleased to be joined now by Executive Director Dave Garcia. Dave, thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Appreciate having you on. So let's start off with some of the new initiatives through Affirmations, including their new LMSW, or Licensed Master Social Worker. When did the decision come forth to pursue bringing in an LMSW, and how are their services going to be put to use to help LGBTQ plus people in our local area?
Sure, that's a good question. Affirmations has always had a behavioral health program. We've partnered with universities across the state. They send their master's level students, graduate students, to us to get practicum hours. They see our community on a sliding scale, and then those cases are reviewed by a licensed LMSW. However, that has some drawbacks. Those students, they're only here for 4 or 5 months, and then they're gone, and they can't see youth. And certainly during COVID, the amount of folks calling us to get mental health help rose dramatically. And so we were able to secure some funding. And in fact, today was the first day that our LMSW is on staff. And her name is Zoe, will be able to see anyone in the community, young people all the way through our seniors. And also we hope to have group therapy. We have a number of parents who will call us and they're seeking therapy because they have a child who is coming out or transitioning. And it'd be nice to get those parents into a group together and be able to have some group therapy sessions as well. So from youth to group therapy to our seniors, we also have learned a lot over COVID with teletherapy and reaching into the homes of people all over the state and region. And so there was an obvious need. We had continued to refer out to our partners that we trust. And we just thought, hey, we should be doing this ourselves and getting paneled with different insurance companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield and others, and maybe even having at least a net profit for the organization as we move forward and expand mental health services. So that's kind of how it all came about. We learned a lot through COVID, and today is her first day, and we're glad to have her on staff.
Yeah, and it's a huge asset for an organization that's providing so much help to people in the local LGBTQ plus community, especially those mental health services. That it's a lot different than what it's been in the past, focusing on mental health, and it's certainly a huge aspect of providing a stable and a happy life for people in a community that still to this day continues to be marginalized, not only in our local area and in the state of Michigan, but across the U.S. and around the world. So Dave, on that note, with this service now being available through Affirmations, how can people that are in the LGBTQ plus community themselves, as well as parents and family and friends that would also be seeking some of those group therapy options, how can they get involved and get access to that care through your LMSW?
Well, the easiest way is just to call Affirmations if they're seeking an appointment, but they can also go to our website at goaffirmations.org and receive information that way as well. Those are probably the two best ways to get more involved. Outside of LMSW, you may have heard that the Ringwald Theater, which was a local theater here in Ferndale, Michigan for many, many years, they lost their space during COVID, and they've moved into Affirmations. And we've renovated our entire community room, which is a large glass room in the center of our 17,000 square foot building here on 9 Mile. And they're going to be having, they moved in. We have a whole new theater now with lights and curtains and sound and audio. And so their season starts in October. In addition, we have the MCCD Church, which is a progressive denomination out of Detroit. And they will be having their church services. They've moved their church services to Affirmations every Sunday. I think that is important. Although I myself am a proud atheist, it's important that the community center is being used by everybody. And particularly now, when I say over and over again that the religious exemption is the greatest threat to the LGBTQ community since HIV/AIDS, And we see religious exemption laws popping up all over the state and all over the country, where people are legally able to justify their prejudice and discrimination against our community as long as they hide behind their religion. And so people continue to tell me that this is only about wedding cakes and wedding photographers, and that is simply not the case. In fact, there's a doctor recently in Detroit, a pediatrician, refusing to treat a baby because that baby's parents were lesbians, and they weren't fined, they weren't fired, as long as they used their so-called religious beliefs as their defense. And so we are seeing the religious discrimination happening, especially in primary care and in mental health, as we discussed, across the state and country. And so I believe Affirmations has a responsibility to fight back. And part of that is lifting up the voices of those Christian, any denomination, but particularly the Christian faiths who are progressive and allies to the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, it's important to, in the case of the Ringwald Theater Partnership, to have those outlets for expression for people of all communities, but especially in marginalized communities such as the LGBTQ plus community, and to have religious outlets too, because ultimately it doesn't matter what demographic you're in. For a lot of people, their faith is an important part of their life, and when they're being shut out of their faith because of who they simply are, having another outlet, having a place that they can go and still practice that faith with people that actually hold to the values that are present in that faith, and having other people to have that support system. It's an added support system, and it's some sort of normalcy to life that is brought back for these people that otherwise are having that, unfortunately and disgustingly, shut out of their lives simply because they are being who they are.
Right. Recently just a couple months ago, we had the protesters out front of Affirmations with their signs of, God hates you and you're going to burn in hell and faggot this and faggot that. And so we can't get them off of a public sidewalk. But while they were here, we raised $10,000 from the community responding to folks with those signs out front. So for reasons like that, we also want to lift up those denominations who are not condemning us to eternal life in hell. Many of the executive directors of the LGBT centers across the state, we belong to what's called the Michigan Community Centers Network. We recently received, all of us executives received a threatening letter in the mail, some sent directly to the homes of these executive directors. Again, condemning us to hell, eternal damnation, you'll burn in hell, all this message. And so we have a responsibility to fight back against that messaging and to, again, lift the voices of those in the faith community who are fair-minded and are not discriminating and justifying that with their religion.
It's simply just people that want to be able to live their lives and live a normal life like anybody else would be allowed to despite being who they are. And in this case, they're not being allowed to. Instead, they're being marginalized. They're being pushed out. And it's not just on the religious front, and it's not just on the medical care front. It's really across the board. There's a really interesting statistic from the Kent County Community Health Needs Assessment of 2020 that found that 32% of LGBTQ plus adults are more likely to experience material hardship, that's like affording food, housing, or medical care, compared to 24% of straight and or cisgender adults. And so those disparities still very much exist in our society, just in general. I mean, we've heard over the year, we've heard a number of stories over the years, and we continue to hear about how tough it is for lesbian and gay couples to adopt a child even. Something that is a hallmark of life, raising a family, is difficult simply because they are, for lack of a better term, different than the social norms, when really it's just two people that are in love wanting to start a family.
Exactly. And to your point, I think there's this misconception that the gay community has a bunch of disposable income. And the reality is the LGBTQ community is much poorer than their counterparts in the straight world. In fact, during COVID, we started a food program out of the back of Affirmations where you could just drive up, pop your trunk and get a box of food or clothes or whatever you needed. To date, since COVID, we've handed out well over 5,500 meals. In fact, when those guys, so-called Christians with their signs out front, were protesting the center, we were in the back handing out food. You know, I told them, why don't you put your signs down and come help us hand out food to the community? We don't ask if someone's gay or straight when they come up behind Affirmations to get food. We're just trying to help the community. But they weren't interested in putting those signs down and helping us. That wasn't their goal that day. And so we have seen throughout COVID especially, as you said, the desperate need from the LGBTQ community for mental health care and also for basic supplies like food and clothes. And you know, showers. We have a shower at Affirmations, and I can't tell you how many times someone will come in off the street in need of clothes and simply a shower. And although we do, you know, big important work like the LMSW that we talked about, we're about to announce $1 million grant to the organization to help get vaccination rates up in the LGBTQ community across the entire state of Michigan. Those are very important things, but no more or less important than someone that walks in off the street in need of a shower.
We're joined by Dave Garcia. He is the Executive Director of Affirmations, joining us on the Megacast. Learn more information about Affirmations, including how you can provide support to the organization and resources that may help you if you are in the LGBTQ plus community or have a family member, a friend, an acquaintance that may need some assistance to navigate a still ridiculously discriminatory world that we live in. That is all at goaffirmations.org, and you can and they are also back to the regular hours of operations Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. At 290 West 9 Mile Road in Ferndale. Dave, as we continue to talk about the discriminatory nature of so many different aspects of our world here in Michigan, and that expands out even further beyond that into the region, into the country and beyond, what more can be done right now? What assistance is really needed by the LGBTQ plus community from allies in the community to help continue to sow change in our local area, but also at the state level and ultimately at the federal level? Because as we continue forward, we continue to see a lot of the discriminatory actions that have been snuffed out of our society or have begun to be changed for the better start to be trending backwards again, and we need as many people as possible to prevent those situations from turning back to the past.
Yeah, well, you have to get involved. I mean, we tell our straight allies, not just our straight allies, but everyone in the LGBTQ community and our allies, you've got to get more involved. And that includes, you know, you maybe come volunteer at Affirmations. We're always looking for volunteers. That's an example. I often ask my straight friends and family members, you know, most of us have giving portfolios that we're giving to charitable organizations. You know, I don't just give to Affirmations, I give to, you know, the ACLU and the Sierra Club and others that are near and dear to my heart. Well, we often ask our straight allies, in your giving portfolio, is there even one LGBTQ organization are you giving to in a charitable way? If not, why not? And so at a time when we need your help so desperately and are being attacked on many different fronts across the country, and we could go on, we're talking about people that we're trying to help get into our country because if they go back to their home countries, they could be killed or imprisoned. And so immigration is an LGBTQ issue. And so is climate change. And so, I mean, the one reason why the LGBTQ community has made such progress, in my opinion, is because we are everywhere. We're in every family. We're in every denomination. We're in the Latino families, like myself, my own family, Latino family, the African-American families, straight, you know, conservative families, progressive families. And that's why it's so important for our community to come out. But when we do come out, we need your support, straight ally support. And the straight community is going to be one of the biggest keys to the success of our movement, and which is simply asking for fairness and equality and to be treated the same as everybody else. But it's going to take a lot more straight voices. You know, it is still legal to deny LGBT people public housing and public accommodation in the state of Michigan. Why is that? Well, because the Republicans won't even allow for a hearing to amend Elliott Larson in Lansing. So it's not even allowed to get a hearing, much less a vote on the floor. So get involved. And if you care about fairness and equality for the LGBTQ community, come volunteer, donate, and fight for equality for all people.
Yeah, your donations matter, your voices matter, and they all go toward productivity and moving progress forward in our society, whether that be changing laws that are archaic and frankly stupid and should still be in place, or simply providing the means that help organizations like Affirmations then provide programs that not circumvent, but serve as an alternative to these traditional programs that simply are not being made available to people in our community that need access to this care, to these resources. So we appreciate having you on, Dave. Another minute before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for people to know at this time about Affirmations or any of the work that the organization is doing or issues that are important to it?
You know, unfortunately, we just had to announce today that we have to postpone our Black Tie event, which is our largest special events fundraiser every year. We just can't do it in the fall. The computer modeling looks horrible with the Delta variant. And, you know, anytime you have an indoor black tie event and people, their masks are going to be off with hors d'oeuvres and wine and sit down dinners. And so for the safety of our community, we had to postpone. That's a big hit to revenue. So anything that folks can do out there to help support your local community centers and LGBT centers is so vitally important right now. Imagine trying to run a community center during a pandemic. There's no books on it. There's no one to talk to. We're just doing the best we can. And if you can help us in any way get through some of this, it's greatly appreciated.
And again, all that information, goaffirmations.org. Dave, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Dave Garcia, Executive Director of Affirmations, joining us on the Megacast. There's about 30 seconds left in today's show. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in on a number of our partnering stations. You can find information on all of our partnering stations, as well as today's full episode and each and every one of our interviews, including our discussion just now with Dave, at civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Big thank you to our crew today, our Zoom producer and our booking producer, Larry Nyland, studio producer and board operator, Calvin Brown, Jake Kustash back at Master Control, and for all of our guests, including Dave Garcia, Ron Crackman, Crachiola, Keith Fields and Lady Sarah, Cathy Anthofer-Fialon joining us, and Dustin McClellan for being on the show today. On My TV, Steve Leto is next. On Civic Center TV, it is The Splash with Maddie Michign. We'll be back tomorrow morning live at 10 a.m.